As we promised in our intro, we are going to shed more light on the initiative which was launched recently by the Office of Environmental Commitment and Sustainable Development and the Federation of Egyptian Industries, announcing the Corporate Social Responsibility Initiative to support the Sustainable Development Vision Egypt 2030. Well, this means a lot. This means preserving the environment. This means to afford a suitable environment for the workers, their safety, their security. This means the word sustainability is going to be more and more of the key words behind any success. Taking into consideration that the private sector should have a lion's share in many industrial domains. All this and more we are going to discuss with our dear guest live via phone, Engineer Mostafa Wali, our economic expert and our industry expert. Well, a very good morning to you, Engineer Wali.
Thank you. Good morning to you too.
And let's start immediately with the goals of the initiative. According to its name first even, achieve sustainable development goals at the National Strategy for Climate Change 2050. Well, the launch of the Corporate Social Responsibility or CSR initiative. Let's have a closer look at the goals and objectives of the initiative.
Well, actually, when we talk about this international and it's the world agreed upon initiative, we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, which were declared and announced on the celebration of the 70th year of the initiation of the United Nations. It's very interesting because they had a target date on 2030 to have very dear and very important, very vital objectives and goals for the whole people of the world. And it was on top of it, of course, eradicating the poverty of any sort, and especially the severe poverty, acute poverty. There are, actually they put it in 17 goals, and we will not get into the details of these goals, but it's very important because if you go to these goals, you will find that the people are an important part of implementing it, and they are the objective of it. And they are the target, they are the objective of which is looked for of applying or of proceeding in such implementing such goals. Frankly speaking, we in Egypt are very keen in general for having this even parallel and with our own understanding and our own policies, governmental policies of applying this. We have our own initiatives which comply with these main objectives. I'm emphasizing this because it might make some confusion when it comes. In my opinion, I find that even in our initiative, let's take one of them, decent life, for example, it's addressing and it's targeting those important and the most important of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations Declaration of SDGs for 2030, which is eradicating poverty. And we are following it now for how many years? Our goals, and it's going side by side and with the objective and with the even procedure of this important SDG. Back again to the who is taking care of this. From the UN side, there is some institution. On top of them, of course, is the Federation of Egyptian Industries with this compliance office for environmental.
And this is also meaning that the strategic partnership between the public and private sector is going on the ground, because the private sector should have the lion's share in implementing on the ground such initiatives as the one we are talking about today. How do you see this, sir?
Absolutely right. and it's going really well. And lately we have seen how much the government and the leadership are keen of giving and boosting the role of the private sector at large, and which of course will end in when we have a viable and strong and active private sector in the real in economic life of our Egyptian society. The results will be soon felt. I mean, it takes not that long time where you find an increase in the total GDP of the country, and this means a lot of more employment opportunities, more scope, gain when it comes to a lot of important issues in human life, like, of course, affording for better health, for increasing
This was my coming question or my coming comment, and I would ask you to elaborate, sir. Improving the economic, social, and even cultural environments or conditions in local communities. This means that we do have a big target, the aim to enhance the sector's opportunity to work in a better environment, and of course this is going to have its very positive impacts on the final product. True?
Absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And we have even this initiative which we had before. Actually, it's also, you know, it was a separate initiative that, of course, we are looking of how to get the best of, viable and cooperative and human society at large, where we care. Absolutely, we have to be care to give much care for those who are the most needy. For example, in this case, there is a social responsibility for those who are, behind the economy. And when it comes to the private sector, then there was this initiative, and actually it's a long call now in process and in success, actually, more or less. We would like more. That's in the corporate social responsibility, as you kindly mentioned. I believe in this because all this will get together where we will feel it in the society at large.
This is it, sir. We need to have the fruitful results. And if you permit me, I'm going to say this in other words. The role of the CSR in advancing sustainable development efforts by integrating all social dimensions, legal dimensions of the society, ethical, environmental, as well as rights of consumers in its business operations and strategies through close cooperation with various partners. So, coordination and cooperation, also harmony among various partners or various entities, whether public or private. This should also be implemented for the best interests of the success of such initiative and of the industrial sector as a whole. Would you please elaborate?
Absolutely, first. What you mentioned in detail, it's really very fascinating, and because this is the objective. I mean, we can put it in one word: the objective of raising the standard of the society at large. And hence, in this case, you will find that the social responsibility, the corporate social responsibility, can work, can contribute and add to the whole. I mean, both on materialistic and on, let's say, spiritual and psychological effect on the society, where you can say that this is a cohesive society, where everybody knows and he has his role, and especially when it comes that those who can afford this cooperation, those who can make it a success story, and in this case, let's say, the successful corporate. We want as more as we can, as hopefully what we have of successful corporates, working on the ground for the benefit of the Egyptian economy, which immediately, as you mentioned in detail, will reflect on the whole society.
What we are talking about, sir, are only theories, if you permit me to say so, or now we do have this culture on the ground, not to look at a company as only an economic institution, but it should be economic, social, cultural even institution, and it should practice these duties or afford these duties to the citizens on all grounds and in so many aspects. Do we have this culture, or we only had first steps in a long journey?
Well, I will take the positive part of your question. If even we are getting steps, if it's in the first step in that direction. Well, let's say that we as Egyptian people, of course, like many other people in the world now, many other countries, are suffering or are facing the toughness of, I hope, temporary situation soon to go. In this case, while this is happening, we can see that a lot of corporates, have given their initiative. Of course, this is something, in general, maybe you will not feel it here if you are there, but it's another story. The most important thing that the government, the leadership, the legal form of the economy and taxation, and all this together will boost and will help the corporate to fulfill their role out of the legal form for taxation and in contributing to the society, even in the least form of it. If a corporate will give the chance for training, for what we call those who are entering the labor,
Yeah.
new labor, or want to raise their capacity. This in itself, although it will not give money directly or contributing directly in a form of assistance, but it's very, very important. I'm just giving you a sign.
Yeah. Sir, there are also voices which are saying that implementing the rules of corporate social responsibility or abiding by the initiative would raise the competitiveness among different companies, among different economic entities. Because the more successful you are in implementing such initiatives, the more competitive you are, whether inside our local market or even moving to invade the other markets outside. If you agree with that, and what are the most important merits the company should have to achieve this on the ground?
Well, you're actually touching. The voice is so echoing there.
Sir, can you hear me?
I hear you, but I hear that there is a big echo. I noticed it on your face.
I'm sorry. Now can you hear me better?
No, I hear you, but I think my voice is echoing. So?
Okay, sir, I was speaking about competitiveness.
Yes.
And to what extent implementing the rules of CSR or corporate social responsibility by different entities may increase their competitiveness?
Well, okay. Somebody would say that it might not contribute directly because it could be a cost for the corporate in a way or another. But if you look at it from the general perspective of the situation and the positioning of the corporate, at least you will find a good reputation about the corporate in its products and in its activities, when it comes to the community service. And this will be a kind of, a tremendous gain, very valuable gain, which will help in the positioning of this corporate.
Sir,
so it will put it in a very good competition level, yeah.
Yeah. Sir, one final question, and as Egypt is celebrating our day, Women's Day, to what extent do you think that one of the most important elements of such initiatives is to support equal opportunities for women?
Yeah. Well, actually, this was one of the SDGs in the United Nations initiative, which is Sustainable Development Goals. It's the equal opportunity for man and woman. In Egypt, we have, even in our culture, this appreciation for Mother's Day or Women's Day. It shows that we as people are keen of looking to our, our mothers and sisters, and the Egyptian women in such level. Frankly speaking, this could be a very good chance to show the equality and how we are fair in having this equal opportunity, as they call it, between.
Well, we were very much delighted to have with us via phone Engineer Mostafa Wali, former head of the Federation of Egyptian Industries. Thank you very much for your input, sir. Have a very good day and happy Ramadan to ladies and gentlemen. We were talking about the initiative launched by the Office of Environmental Commitment and Sustainable Development at the Federation of Egyptian Industries, entitled the Egypt Vision 2030 to achieve sustainable development goals and the National Strategy for Climate Change 2050, in addition to providing safe environment that takes into account occupational safety and health procedures, supporting also equal opportunities for women. Well, Egypt is on the right track. Egypt is going forward to be the new Egypt, Egypt 2030, and nothing is going to hinder us from going forward and on the right path. Well, this was the first segment of our breakfast show, the first segment of discussion. Now we are going to move to tourism and to the leap which was achieved on the ground in this very vital sector with my dear colleague and friend Amal Mukhtar. Stay tuned. Right after this, we are going to be back.